This body, this artifact, this dual existence of a single human soul could unlock the secret of creation, the secret of humankind.
I don't understand. I've never considered committing suicide. I'm a pimp. And pimps don't commit suicide.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of The Harbor. I'm your host, the Kino Cowboy, and I'm here with my other co-hosts, Scott Keith and Austin Casher. We are talking today. What? You got something to say?
No, man. I'd go for it. Keep
Yeah.
Keep stroking
Today we're
that.
talking.
Stroke that ego of yours, sir.
What ego?
What are you talking
Other
about?
than being the smartest person in the room and the most Kino of all Kinos, we're talking Southland
You've
Tales.
never even seen Bloodsport. You can't be the most keen.
Bloodsport is for fucking losers.
Okay.
We're talking Southland Tales. It is Richard Kelly's crazy follow-up to Donnie Darko, which
It's
is
sophomore shit.
yeah, dude. It's interesting how sophomore films for directors can be sometimes the weirdest shit, craziest shit. Now
I might like this more than Donnie Darko.
Donnie Darko is one of the
Overrated.
original like 21st century cult movies. Like every emo teenager in high school tells you to watch it, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, okay, it's got some cool atmosphere and stuff. And then it was one of those that actually grew on me after I watched it a second time. And it's my fiance. It's like in her top 10, and it's also in Cody's top 10. Like, so
How do you guys feel about S Darko?
fuck you.
I had the opposite experience with Donnie Darko. I watched it in high school, liked it, rewatched it I think during the pandemic, and I was like,
Do
whatever,
not
man.
watch the director's cut of Donnie Darko. That is a
Why?
stupid cut.
Explains too much.
Yeah, and he like puts actual like text on screen, and
I read up on some of it, and it over explains it. And it's part of the complete labyrinthian, pretentious mind of Richard Kelly, who is
Yeah.
obsessed with
I have to-
alternate dimensions.
I have to respect the man. I have to whether I like this movie or not, Southland Tales, I have to respect the fuck out of it for taking such an insanely wide swing with the biggest fucking celebrities on the biggest scale possible.
This cast is stacked. Did they read the script?
It's
It's
one of those movies is
insane.
like, how the fuck does this exist?
I
'Cause
do want
for-
to say Kevin Smith is quoted as calling Richard Kelly like could be one of the greatest filmmakers of our generation.
Hey, dude, you
and
know,
that people don't realize that he is currently one of the greatest filmmakers of our generation, and that he's
He's
Yeah,
also in
dedicated.
this movie.
he hasn't made a movie since 2009.
I know, like what the fuck has he done?
I feel bad, but that's the thing. It's like this movie is like I had heard some friends in film posting talk about it, and I knew what it was. I'd always seen it in the Walmart like bargain bin DVD pile, and I always was like, "What is this?" I didn't realize it was like Richard Kelly until I looked it up, and I was like, "Wait a minute, what the fuck is this?" And it's crazy because as soon as I decided we should do this week, like 3 days after I watched it, there was this big fucking on film Twitter. There was all kinds of like random reappraisals for this movie, people talking about it again. It was like I brought it back into, I don't know, the fucking zeitgeist somehow. It was really crazy. And then no shit, yesterday Cody messaged me, "Have you seen Southland Tales?" out of nowhere. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? I said, you're fucking with me. Like me and the guys are doing an episode on this tomorrow. And he's like, what the fuck? He's like, that's one of my favorite movies.
Why is he not here?
Of course, this is one of his favorite fucking.
Of
Hell
course
yeah,
it
dude.
is.
Dude, I have to say, dude, after watching it a second time, I fucking dig this movie. I fuck with it. And I think an important part of my enjoyment of this movie is the fact that I grew up in the mid 2000s and I experienced some of the insane, stupid shit that we all experienced at the height of like lowbrow culture. And also, I grew up around hyper Christians and hyper Christian hysteria. So a
Right.
lot of this resonates with me.
No, I went to youth group in Bush era Arkansas.
Yeah.
I'm aware. And this movie reminds me, because I've kind of suppressed the memory, and also after the Trump administration, our craziness kind of went crazier. But like the Bush era was insane. Like we were just hyped up on war and mania for 8 years.
It has my favorite presidential moment of all time, though, is whenever he's like disavowing terrorists from different countries. And then he goes, "Now watch this backswing." And he hits the fucking ball. It's the most American thing I think I've ever seen in my life.
It's fucking insane. And we were all hyped up. Okay.
Well, I'm still hyped up on that one.
For either younger folks listening or if you're not familiar with the America post 9/11, it was immediate.
Not familiar with America.
I'm just saying, post 9/11, like right after 9/11, everything spiraled immediately. Everyone was signing up for the war. It was us versus the world, and it was the height of Islamophobia. And I know the Trump administration brought out a lot of craziness, but I feel like it was in a different way. I feel like generally the height of like Islamophobia and the height of like homophobia was in the mid 2000s, especially when you're in middle school and high school and you're hearing shit all the time. Even teachers were Islamophobic, and I heard all kinds of shit in my Southern high school and middle school, and it got bad. I don't know.
Well, I remember drawing. This was like in 5th grade. This was years later. I think this is like after we invaded Iraq or something. It was like write letters to the soldiers and draw. And I drew like stick guys doing the Iwo Jima flag or something.
Hell yeah. And we had
to do a fucking PowerPoint on presidential candidates back when Obama was first being his first round of elections. And someone's closed their Obama presentation with should we elect someone that's named Barack Hussein Osama?
I remember specifically somebody making a PowerPoint presentation and then putting Barack Hussein Obama in it.
I lost my shit laughing. Also, just like the most dystopian shit that probably happened post 9/11 that I can remember vividly is being on the bus during the Kerry and Bush election. And as we were riding the bus, there was a group of fucking middle schoolers yelling at people who had Kerry signs on the side of the road and being like, "Fuck you, it's Bush time," or something like that. Just like being super hyper violent about it. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Dude, can you imagine if Ralph Nader didn't run and then Al Gore had been president, how different the world might be and how much better it would be?
Free a man bear pig, which is sick, but you know,
There's
no. The South Park writers, like they wrote an episode where the kids have to apologize to Al Gore.
Yeah,
you were right.
There's an insane amount of anti-intellectualism in the 2000s, and I think it comes from a lot of American propaganda. And I don't know, I feel like being someone like Richard Kelly stuck in the middle of all this in the 2000s must have been miserable. I was just a kid. I just rolled along with it. But, we know what it's like to go through the Trump era, and we're still dealing with insane bullshit.
And we
couldn't imagine
will again 2024, bitches.
I couldn't imagine going through like school during the Trump administration.
Yeah, during COVID and stuff.
I think
genuinely. I was teaching during then, although it was in a different country.
Yeah,
doesn't count. Sorry,
it doesn't count. Yeah, the COVID stuff does. But here's something I think a lot of people don't understand. Osama bin Laden won. I don't think people get it. It's like that joke from The Office where BJ Novak's like, I don't think I ever processed 9/11. It's that for the country. Like, his goal was to destabilize the Western and American hegemony, and he absolutely did. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
And Afghanistan's doing great now.
Well, it's like, I don't think kids know that we were so patriotic that we were calling French fries freedom fries. You know what I mean? And
I didn't do that. That's whack. I didn't do that
the
shit.
culture was fucking gross and lowbrow and low-rise jeans, crop tops, fake tans, fake tits, Hummers.
And you see a lot of that in this movie, and it's weirdly nostalgic.
Movies, epic movie. The big comedy movies of the day were epic movie and disaster movie. And
but are we any better, at least with our entertainment? I mean, we still have lowbrow entertainment. We still have people doing in public videos and licking ice creams and
yes, it is definitely some of that has switched to YouTube content, quote unquote. But it all was gross to me even as a kid, a lot of this kind of stuff, and I paid attention to it. And I also, paid attention to the war in the Middle East because I was kind of forced to, by whether I was at home or at school or wherever. It was always talked about. It was always like, here's what's going on, even if a 10-year-old like me didn't want to really pay attention to it. But and then we also have during this time NSA shit going down, and of course this movie spoofs that, or makes a joke of it pretty hard. And,
unfortunately that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. I just remember
you say the word joke for what's supposed to be a black comedy. This movie doesn't have a lot of jokes, and that's an issue with tone.
It seems
like Richard Kelly. There's a lot of really fucking subtle jokes in this that crack me up,
and some aren't so subtle.
And then some that are.
Let me suck your dick, or I'll kill myself.
I fucking lost my
hilarious.
shit laughing at that. I do think that this is more of a instead of a narrative, like a coherent science fiction or dystopian film. It's like a narrative rant. Like you can tell that he's just fucking upset. And he's going to try to get as many shots in as creatively as he can.
Yeah.
It's very much like a Drudge Report blog. Or like an InfoWars rant.
I feel like this could be on like a fucking InfoWars type channel.
Dude, if Alex Jones was one of the funders for this, I would be like, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, but this is like very anti George Bush conservative bullshit.
Yeah, but he's a globalist.
Yeah.
Against the globalists.
Yeah, and it's like, we see the NSA taken to the extreme in this, and we also see the Patriot Act has evolved, and we have it to the point where in this future, only 2 years in the future, by the way, they have just snipers at random locations wherever, keeping a track on like crime and shit.
Destroy capitalism, dethrone God.
It's obviously a complete alternate history, because within 2 years they developed the infrastructure for renewable energy, which is Wallace Shawn and the medium from Poltergeist are using the tides, which they keep calling perpetual motion. I'm like, that's not what.
Well, they say simulated perpetual motion via quantum teleportation.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is like, he obviously has an obsession with time travel, time dilation, and shit like that. And it's kind of very similar to Donnie Darko in that way, because people like mistakenly try to treat the time travel shit in Donnie Darko like it's something metaphorical. No, it's very like literal, like this is what's happening kind of thing with the time stuff in Donnie Darko. And I don't know. I think it's a wild idea for perpetual motion, and like they've turned it into this thing called fluid karma, and like the people are injecting it in their necks and shit, are willing to cut off their thumbs to inject it into their necks, even though you see the fucking like clip of dead troops who they were like practicing it on and stuff, which is interesting. And I like that like all the graphical interface of like the news has like ads for like Hustler and like Bud Light and shit. Like, dude, some of that, hits. I'm not going to say this whole movie works, but I'm saying a lot of that just hits for me as someone who hated a lot of the shit that I went through in the 2000s.
Yeah, we hate Bud Light on this podcast.
No, I'm not. I'm just like, it's so gross. I love it. So,
I was thinking during this movie, what's a movie, and and I was nothing if not engaged in this movie, although a little exhausted by the end of it. A movie that's in a lot of ways very similar and arguably more successful is Idiocracy. This is very much a conspiratorial idiocracy. It's an idiocracy mixed with a political thriller.
It's an angrier idiocracy.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's also, I can see why people during the time didn't know what to make of it. I feel like only now looking back over a decade and a half back towards the 2000s, can you really clearly see what he's going for.
I think it's crazy how little money this made, because it had a $7 million budget, which is not a ton. It's not a lot, even for the time, but especially with how stacked this cast is. And The Rock wasn't even The Rock of today, but he was still The Rock. He wasn't Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He was The Rock,
And that's I think it's baller. Him in this movie, I think he's good, and it makes me wish he did more shit like this.
This is my favorite Rock movie, probably. I don't know. I kind of like the Scorpion King when I was a kid, but I like
the Get Down a whole lot. Sorry.
Yeah.
Pain and Gain. That's one of Michael Bay's best movies, and it's satirical and it's really funny.
Yeah,
and
I heard that one's good.
He's good in that.
Yeah, he kind of takes him till.
So wait, it's not called the Get Down. Hold on, sorry.
But
no, keep going. Sorry.
It's almost like, did the studio bury this movie? But then I was reading like Sony bought it off Universal after it bombed at Cannes.
Oh, it was one of the most I knew about this movie before I'd even seen it because of Cannes, and it infamously was hated. There was shit going on with the production and people, the studio not liking how it was turning out, and then obviously it was I think Richard Kelly was trust the process, and then they watched it and they're like, what the fuck is going on, dude?
I just read an interview around that movie, In Time or whatever, with Justin Timberlake and Amanda Seyfried. They were doing an interview, and the interviewer opens with Southland Tales, and Justin talks about it. He's willing to talk about it, but he's also I still don't know what that movie's about. It's performance art. He's like, I was the narrator, and
that's the crazy thing. Getting Justin Timberlake in 2006 at the height of his popularity when he released that banger fucking album, dude, that is crazy. To play such a weird, he narrates the whole movie.
And that was added because they cut 20 minutes from this already 2.5-hour movie. I'll be honest, I started watching this movie last night around 10 because I was like, okay, this movie's an hour and 40 minutes. And then I looked, I was like, oh no, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes. I can't finish it tonight. So I had to watch it in 2 chunks.
Oh, you watched the Cannes cut?
Did I? Is that what it was?
The regular cut's 2 hours and 20 something minutes.
Yeah, maybe that's what I watched. I think that's what I watched, actually.
Because I was gonna watch both cuts, but I didn't have time. I actually watched this twice, the regular cut. So
yeah, no, if I had time, I might watch it again. But it's he had to cut a bunch because basically that was his deal. The visual effects were unfinished, and they were unfinished at Cannes, and he had to cut a bunch because he was like, well, I mean, to get the budget for this, I mean, we're gonna have to cut some of this down. And it's still, I mean, it's almost like a postmodern novel, like a Pynchon-esque, but not as smart. This is kind of almost David Foster Wallace-y sort of.
Yeah, I can't help but dig it because it's
I mean, I enjoyed this movie for what it is.
It's
like pseudo intellectual is what it feels like.
It's so
some of it
is. Yes,
definitely. I think the majority of it is it's got some points that it wants to make, but it doesn't execute it well enough for me to give a shit.
Also, you cast John Lovitz as a badass.
Yeah, which cracked me up. And Sherry O'Terry as a fucking loudmouth assassin in fucking neo-Marxist Amy Poehler and Wood Harris being together.
Yeah, Amy Poehler's in this before she.
It's fucking. This was right as she was blowing up, dude. This is the peak of her SNL Weekend Update.
But yeah, you're right. But it was pre Parks and Rec.
It was weird. I was like, Kevin Smith's in the credits. Where the fuck is he? And then I was like, oh,
shit. Fucking wheelchair, dude.
What? How did that happen? It's also funny that he's in 2 movies in 2007 that both deal with shit with digital terrorism and shit. Yeah. because the other one is Live Free or Die Hard, which is I think I like this more than Live Free or Die Hard. But
I will say having Wallace Shawn
yeah,
was like my favorite part of this movie. He's just like is the craziest actor to have.
Mustache
Yeah.
twiddling.
he's the scientist, and his mom is the one like running the show basically.
And then fucking they had what's his girlfriend's name? What's that actress name? Bai Ling?
The Asian chick.
Yeah. Having her just watching Wallace Shawn make out with this
whole
tall
crew is
beautiful
weird.
Asian
And
woman.
surprisingly enough, there's parts of this that kind of remind me of fucking Lost Highway and Mulholland Drive a little bit with just how it's presented.
No,
And
it's definitely Lynchian, and the way it's presented is a criticism of Hollywood culture and California culture.
But also like certain scenes, like when Boxer he goes, we can just call him The Rock, I guess. But he like goes,
Jericho.
Yeah, or Jericho Kane, yeah, which might be like a Tulpa kind of thing. Who knows?
Cherry cocaine.
He goes into the bookstore. He's lured in by that Asian chick, and like he meets Dr. Inga or whatever, and she's there with the lady from Poltergeist and her other crony. And like they've like read his screenplay and shit, and they say some cryptic shit to him about how it's all don't be afraid of the future and stuff. That was very like cryptic, reminded me of Lost Highway a bit, Lynchian kind of shit, like just stuff like that. I think.
So where did the screenplay come from? Was it when he glimpsed into the future and saw the timelines and that
I guess
came back to him?
That's what I'm wondering, is because somehow he made a screenplay that predicted the whole events that are happening, and now the screenplay is out there. And at first I thought it was like a private screenplay, but the whole thing with the NSA chick that's obsessed with him, she found a copy online and she fell in love with the screenplay. And that's when she started like really helping him out and following him and doing other shit when she's not spying on people in the bathroom, which is I like that gag. For the time, it was early on in the NSA shit, and she's spending 3 hours watching people take shits on because the NSA wants her to. It's same year we had that joke in the Simpsons movie where you have that giant room of people like spying on everybody. Yeah.
There's a movie, Enemy of the State, Will Smith. You know that?
Oh,
one?
yeah.
Yeah, where he walks up and slaps the surveillance state in the face.
Oh, I haven't seen that movie.
I know it's all right. It was on TV a lot.
Also, I noticed the second time there's a shit ton of world building going on the radio and on the TV, because I turned the subtitles on the second time, and it adds to the movie a lot. Some of it's just silly shit, like a giant dildo and being used, for like porn or whatever. And then, but at one point there's one point you hear that there's like an ass ton of plankton that have like bloomed so much that people thought like it was rusty water, but it was actually because like since the tidal generator, they were doing tests with it, that it like fucked up, and like there's an algal bloom and shit, which was funny to me because that's similar to the kind of shit Justin ad libs in the Randy Rudder segment. So it kind of reminded me of just random bullshit like that. But yeah, so if people at home, if you haven't watched this or you haven't watched it in a while, watch it with the subtitles on so you can get a lot of that radio shit. Yeah, because the first time watching it, it was hard to even comprehend what the plot was really. And then because like he wants to make this movie that he's already foreseen, and he pretty much tells you what's going to happen in the movie, and that the tides are slowing down the circulation of the earth and shit, and it's making people act crazy and stuff. And he's obviously has amnesia, and then he's married to the porn star, et cetera, et cetera.
But it's very weird selective amnesia. Though.
Yeah.
It's like he still
doesn't
knows who he is.
Yeah, he doesn't remember he's married.
To Mandy Moore of all people, by the way. Like,
I guess because yeah, because there's the neo-Marxist movement, which is funny because actually there's been a rise of anti-capitalism on TikTok. So in a way, it's ahead of its time.
I mean, ever since Occupy Wall Street, really, it's just protected policing. Neo-Marxism is a real term.
Yeah, for sure. It's just I've seen a lot of younger teenagers really latch on to that kind of stuff on TikTok.
Yeah, well,
We're at the end stages of it. It's easy to kind of be privy to that.
Yeah, when a McDouble at McDonald's costs $3, I think people are gonna notice. No, no, but
the Big Mac index, that's actually something they use for to judge economies, is how much of your wages is it to get a Big Mac?
Yeah.
What percentage of your weekly, monthly wages?
I mean, what the guy, what was his name, doing the rent is too damn high. Like we've always had this anti-capitalism thing in the media for a long time.
So is
that just the media feeding us anti-capitalist vows? I don't know.
We got Seann William Scott in this movie playing two people, or who we think are two twins. And I think that was the moment where I was like, what the fuck is going on? Is when he's in his cop uniform in the mirror and his mirror is like delayed, his reflection's delayed a bit.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is this? I guess that's an effect of like the time dilation. He's not supposed to be in that part of existence, you know? So
I guess it's not the drugs, is it?
I don't know, because
I think it's part of the time dilation.
I think it's the dilation shit. But going in the first time, I was like, what the fuck? And it's just, I think it works way better on a second time, because the first time I was confused with like the Marxist group, and they were going to set up a fake racist cop body cam kind of video, which is also ahead of its time, I think. Not that there wasn't police brutality and shit back then, but it's escalated now. And then they set up the squibs, and then they have the cop show up who's actual
fucking John Lovitz. That's so fucking that's what took me out of it initially, like really heavy. I was like, I don't know. I just couldn't.
No, it works. He has like dead eyes the whole time. I think it works. It's just weird. But he's in cahoots with the actual leader of their Marxist gang. So she wanted it to be a real kind of racist thing. And I don't know. To me, that seems actually kind of like a realistic thing that could happen. So I don't know. It worked on the second watch. The first watch, I was like, there's so much shit going on and not much shit actually. It's kind of a weird thing. It's like all this shit is being presented to me, and once you actually kind of piece it together, it's not actually that much story going on. But for some reason, he makes it the most convoluted, crazy way possible.
And I don't know. I think part of it is to add to the aesthetic of it being conspiratorial. Yeah. I also think it's the guy doesn't know how to trim stuff down. I like there's
this guy probably sucks to hang out with, is what I'm thinking. This is
there could have been a restructuring. I don't know. I hear that the can cut is it adds some scenes, but I hear that some scenes are placed in different orders, so it might be better that way.
No, but I'm good.
I think I'm good for now. I've watched it 2 times, you know. But I like Sarah Michelle Gellar's character too. She's like a porn star who's having her own TV show, and she wants to be involved with the Marxist.
What'd she say about the American Indians that the Pilgrims came in here and stopped the American Indian orgy?
Well, yeah, she said a bunch of nerds in the 15th century ruined sex for everyone. And you know what? It's supposed to be a silly joke, but it's true, and I agree with her.
Yeah. She kind of reminds me of like Sasha Grey, who used to be a porn star and is like tries to be an intellectual, and you're like, I've seen you take like 90.
It's hard, and it's not to be mean.
No, Sasha Grey, she's cool.
You picked like the worst one too, because Sasha Grey is actually really.
No, she's
really
cool.
Smart.
She's cool on Bobby Lee's podcast.
She's really fucking smart. If you were gonna pick one, it should be like Carter Cruz, who's now a DJ. Who's like,
oh yeah, that's
you know.
That pipeline cracks me.
Yeah, porn stars are dumb and don't reserve our respect.
Sex workers can be smart.
Sex workers are universally.
The more dicks you take in your ass may make it harder for you to be smart. I don't know.
There is a direct correlation between being stupid as fuck and the amount of dick in your ass.
Oh, that's problematic. Everything we say on this podcast should be taken literally.
It's all All downhill from here,
Yeah,
baby.
dude. Her talk show is abortion, terrorism, crime, poverty, social reform, quantum teleportation, teen horniness, and war.
Yeah, like this whole society has accepted all this quantum bullshit.
And I like that there's that point where Will Sasso is at the beginning is flipping through the channels, and he stops on that talk show, and it's over 1,000 channels. Ooh, this was peak reality TV too.
Also, that comment like, "I'm not against teen horniness" like 2 times. Like they keep bringing that up. That Elliot, whatever his name is like against teen horniness. I don't know, as like a way to like try and be against his election platform or something.
The electoral process makes no sense because they're all saying it all comes down to California. I guess it's very split on the votes, but the way they're doing it, it's almost like it's the middle of the election and they're counting votes for like a week. Still in California. I don't know. Maybe that's a reflection of Florida, what happened in that election.
Yeah, probably.
I'm thinking, are all the other states already decided except California? Like, where are we in the election? What is happening?
I think they changed it up after Texas got nuked a bunch. And I don't know. I think in the opening thing it says some shift in power in relation to California or something. I don't know. But I do like that opening scene. It's camcorder footage of people enjoying 4th of July, and then
probably the best scene in the whole movie.
The nuke comes down. It's just really cool. And also like everyone's dressed how I remember them being dressed when everyone would come to the pool when I was a kid around that era. I don't know. It just seems
a whole movie about like the aftermath of a fucking America getting nuked would be great. That's kind of what I was hoping for. I mean, technically that's what we got, but it's just like went into this ape shit fucking incoherent mess.
Well, it's this
has its moments. I really don't like this film, I'll be honest with you. Now I'm talking about it.
That's fine. It's a very polarizing movie. That's why I wanted to talk about it.
It is a plausible thing that if we saw a nuclear explosion in America, it'd probably be a suitcase nuke or something like that. It wouldn't be a missile from a major.
Yeah, how do you build one of those suitcase nukes, Scott?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you implying that I'm a nuclear terrorist?
That's the whole reason he agreed to this podcast.
Yeah.
He waited for us to bring up this film. Yeah. Now, yeah, I don't know. I think there's a bunch of different ways that America might react to a nuke, because it wasn't like an all-out fucking thing. It wasn't like Threads. You can check out our episode on Threads.
What's the name of that movie? The American Threads, the one that you watched?
Oh, The Day After.
The Day After. That's
right. That movie's good too. Yeah, check that out, people.
That's about the nuclear.
Yeah, if you want to watch something about nukes after that, go watch The Day After, Casher. That movie's insane. That was like American quote unquote propaganda, but also like it scared the shit out of people.
Yeah, Threads is really good too.
Yeah, 2 TV movies that scared the ever living shit out of 80s Americans. Yeah, but so yeah, we learn that Seann William Scott isn't a twin. These are 2 different versions of himself from 2 different, like before he went through this time loop thing, or not loop, but and then afterwards, and they're not supposed to exist at the same time, which is honestly a time travel trope that has been around for a long time. Like, oh, you can't look or interact with yourself. That's in Back to the Future Part 2. It's even in fucking Harry Potter. That's like a big deal. Like, we don't know what would happen. It might. So I like that aspect of it, the science fiction aspect of what happens if they fucking shake hands, and then they literally do shake hands. It's insane. But I guess I'm not fully understanding what The Rock's character has to do with all of this. I guess because he predicted it, they need to like bring him in.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Wallace Shawn's character, what's his name, wants with him. And I'm not even sure what he wants in general. Does he want the universe to end? He wants to overthrow even though he's a super rich guy, he wants to overthrow capitalism and God, but he just does that by destroying the universe.
I guess. I mean,
That his motivation.
Obviously, he's aware of what his machines are doing to the world and shit. So I don't know. It's kind of yeah. I don't know.
He's
And then you
just
get
a
the whole-
mustache twirling bad guy with no motivation other than
Well, no,
to be
he's kind of just the scientist that works. Like his mom is the head of it, and then Kevin Smith, and then the poltergeist lady. It's all like one team. So he's just one part of the team. He's not like the main guy.
The figurehead or something.
But also, like, I think he's secretly funding like the Marxist movement too. Like he's behind like that. I don't know. Some of this was like too much for me to get. I don't know. I don't want to say I feel stupid, but I feel confused.
No,
I don't.
it's convoluted.
It's super convoluted, and then the fucking climax gets to the point where he's just like, "I'm a pimp. Pimps don't commit suicide," and that's when I was like,
and then it gets
"Fuck
said
this movie."
Yeah,
Dude, that's a badass line, dude.
It's so dumb though. Like everything, it honestly,
funny as fuck.
that's not. It would be funny if there was I don't know. It felt so forced and so just like, yeah, the guy like writing this, be like, yeah, this is hilarious. Like everybody's gonna think
It
this
worked
is
for
funny.
me. The Rock.
then it got there.
I can hear Richard Kelly fapping throughout this movie.
That's what I'm saying. Like it
funny.
just feels like him jerking off and him not having anybody be like, dude, let's fucking find story
Yeah,
structure here.
Sometimes I have to respect that for happening. The fact
I
that
can respect it for happening if it happens good. Like Bo is Afraid.
Oh no,
Bo is Afraid was excellent.
Art exists. You know, it deserves to exist in any
No,
form.
Wrong. Only the things that I approve.
So what I would rather live in a world where this movie does exist than live in a world where it doesn't exist.
Yeah, where it's not allowed to. Yeah, and that's the fun. The whole fun of the movie is the fact that it does exist, and I'm like, what the fuck? How did he get away with this?
Who funded it?
It makes me really not like Richard Kelly just as a person.
No,
Like the
Donnie
whole
Darko
film.
is way better of a film, I think. But
He just seems like
way
even
cleaner.
like his Wikipedia page photo is just grainy and you can barely see his face. Go to his Wikipedia, guys. It's literally like the most grainy fucking photo from like 1999 or some shit.
No, it's like somebody on a Nokia phone from this
on
era
a fucking DS or something.
at a Death Crips concert with their DS took a photo. I mean, he quotes throughout this movie. He quotes Robert Frost twice, which I wrote. I read these poems in high school. Makes sense. This film sounds like it was written by a high schooler.
It literally I'm not even kidding you. That whole I'm a pimp, pimps don't commit suicide. I have written something similar when I was stoned in high school for a narrative for a test.
yeah, it does. It feels like this movie was written by a 15-year-old that was way too much into political science.
I'm surprised there wasn't a 45-minute gunfight that we had to edit out of the fucking whole film and just have a black screen and say this is a gunfight.
No, this stuff really does remind me of stuff that I wrote as an undergraduate creative writing student.
Like, holy fuck, dude.
It does, but I can't help but like some of that. Just like I like the mech shit in fucking Matrix 3. You know what I mean?
That goes this movie's way better than that. That goes on too long.
No,
I don't know, man. I don't know if it is.
When Agent Smith like rises into the sky and does his like DBZ pose and shit.
Oh no, the DBZ stuff I'm all for, but the mech stuff is it's 20 minutes.
Dude, that shit rules. But
it's just, there's no blocking or it's just like, and it's all dark, so it's just muzzle flashes and then blobs of black CGI for 20 minutes of this 2.5-hour movie.
Yeah, go watch Matrix Revolutions, everybody. That movie's crazy.
Also, it's Revelation, not Revelations.
Oh, yeah, Revelation.
Yeah,
Wait,
he didn't even read the Bible.
Yeah,
And
well,
Richard
whatever.
Kelly's an atheist. Shame.
Oh yeah. I forgot JT quotes Revelations throughout this, and like it talks about there's going to be a pregnant woman with this people and that people, and then boxers brought in by Elliot Frost's people, or is that his name? Yeah, his crew, and then his wife is,
pregnant, but is it her baby or not? And then the plot thread is never brought up again. It's not.
Yeah, well, Sean's like, no, it's Brant's baby, and he's like, what the fuck?
And then I thought it was I thought
So
she was going to
dumb.
give birth to the Antichrist or something.
God,
Because
Yeah.
at the end, he gets like a Jesus blood pattern on his back as the missile is hurling toward the Mega Zeppelin.
Yeah.
the more we keep
Why?
talking about it, like the more angry I get that this movie. Like, I don't like it.
I think it's
Uh,
crazy.
This is like the first film we've watched on here since Annette for me that I've
Yeah,
just
I was
been,
about
like,
to say, I almost
actively-
brought up Annette. This is
The
the
whole
Annette
reason-
2.
actively don't like this
The
movie.
whole reason
Annette's
I
better in this
the
movie.
whole reason I chose this episode
Is to
was-
piss Casher off.
no, because I was watching so much Roger and Ebert the last week. I was really enjoying them having arguing with each other over certain movies. I was like, we need a polarizing film. And I was looking at my list and I was like, this I've heard is extremely polarizing.
You did it. You nailed it.
Um,
I don't like this.
But it's like, yeah, like right after that, the lady from Poltergeist, she like stops Boxer, aka The Rock, and she's like holding like this flashing blue orb, and she says cryptic shit. She's like, "We are shadows of the evil one, shadows of the morning light, and until the light and shadows are one or something." And then she urges him to go after the lady at the NSA who called him and told him to meet him at the specific place or whatever. It's like, what did any of this mean? Like, I
Do you think
It's-
Richard Kelly knows?
No.
I don't know. I think
I think he fucking. It sounds like he took a bunch of fucking Xanax and wrote this,
that
or like
lady
fucking
she's-
took a bunch of Ambien and.
I
fucking
think
wrote
she
this.
was cast for a specific reason. She was a medium, well known for that role in the Poltergeist. I think he liked her, and I think she is part of this crew. And because of shit going on, it's implied that she knows future shit, and she's like a future medium, and like or something like that. And that's why she's with this crew. But like, it's still nonsense. But I feel like that's what they were trying to do with her character. But
So
they just don't. They don't expand on
yeah,
it.
it's almost like there's forces from outside the material realm that want Seann William Scott to shake his own hand, Ronald and Roland to shake their own hands.
Yeah.
For something to like break the realm between worlds, because it fades to black. We don't know for certain that the universe gets destroyed.
Yeah,
or,
that's
or
true.
in what way, like what happens. That's the implication. That's what people say is going to happen, but we don't know for sure.
That's true. And
You know what this movie feels like? You know what this movie feels like? It feels like Justin Timberlake's character wrote this movie while fucking hot.
And what is with that? He like we stop. He gives that one guy who shoots the rocket launcher at the end the fluid karma or whatever.
Yeah.
He hooks him up with it, and then they become cool. And then right after that, he sings that song, and I like the song.
Richard Kelly considers the heart of the movie because he wanted this thing to be a musical too, and not only in that it's a musical.
Fuck that, dude. What?
I think it's
Why?
funny because, like, I think that kind of character is like a hyper version of a lot of these Iraqi kind of veteran guys who are hyper masculine, hyper on Christian nationalist kind of shit. And I think it's kind of a play on that.
Well, like,
And,
I'm also wondering, dude, what did we ever figure out what the fuck happened in Fallujah?
It was just friendly fire incident. Fallujah was a major battle of.
Well, I know that, but he's like, do you remember Fallujah? I thought he was going to at least explain what particularly was damaging about Fallujah and what the friendly fire event may have been. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it's like how we were looking for weapons of mass destruction. We never found any, something controversial. I don't know.
I don't think it goes that deep, honestly.
I don't know. I
really think he just like got off on his fucking Ambien like rant cycles. Like, I'm gonna write a movie. wrote the movie, and then he's like, "This is genius," and then no one told him no because Hollywood's full of yes men.
No, that's bullshit. This movie that would never get greenlit today for this, kind of.
If
level
he
of
if he had
budget
just
shit.
did Donnie Darko and it was only 7 million, yeah, he would have gotten.
17 million, but still not much. That's
The
not much.
fucking dude, yeah, the Rock, Sarah Michelle Gellar, dude, all these insane A-list people.
Let me hold on. I just got to read off this cast real quick of people I recognize. Okay, you got, I don't know, You got freaking as a Grand Theft Auto 5 character, or like little Jacob in Grand Theft Auto 4 is the gun dealer. You have Christopher Lambert selling guns out of an ice cream truck,
which is
and a chick
awesome.
tries to pay him with a check. I mean,
Yeah.
you have that. You have Janine Garofalo shows up.
Fucking Sherry O'Terry.
Yeah, dude. Chris Lambert, Biling.
It's a bunch of like
Mandy
SNL
Moore,
alums.
Amy Poehler. God, Will Sasso, Seann William Scott. I watched half of Evolution the other day. That movie's
Fucking rules.
They try to be Ghostbusters because
That movie
I've never
rules.
seen it.
I fucking love Evolution. Evolution rules, dude.
Sean, Kevin Smith, Justin Timberlake, Lisa K. Wyatt. Oh my god, this whole movie.
Wood Harris is in this fucking movie.
Eli Roth shows up as a cameo.
Yeah.
He gets shot
on
while
the
he's
toilet.
in the
Yeah. I saw
Yeah.
that.
And there's another scene where there's a giant, I guess, art piece installation toilet, and the one guy who gets bugged gets by the NSA, gets shot and flies back onto it. And the Marxist, the set design of the Marxist place, they just have random stuff spray painted all over, and it'll just say like capital or like for no reason, just spray.
You know what that
painted
set
all
looks
over.
like? It looks like a Nickelodeon child sitcom.
It looks like it's
For
right
revolutionaries.
next door to Legend. Yeah, I was thinking it looks like it's right next door to Legends of the Hidden Temple and Double Dare.
Like it looks like some 2000s like iCarly, garish, like
It's like Carly, but instead of being about like streamers, it's about like revolutionaries during the uprising.
It's quantum. Quantum.
Yeah, no, if you went for polarizing though, this is definitely the film that I'm like, fuck this. I just wasted a bunch of time.
Now listen, you don't have to like this movie, but you have to respect it for swinging so wide and insane. And for I don't know, but
I don't know
there's
if I
some
do
shit-
respect it for that because I respect movies that do that are 10 times more coherent than this.
That's fine. You know, some people try their best. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I don't even think this was his best. I really think he was just fucked up because the box is okay after this. Donnie Darko
The box
is fine.
was forget. I haven't seen it since theaters, but that movie is forgettable as fuck.
This. I'll forget this within the next week.
No, I will. No, this movie is insane. I will never forget this movie.
You'll forget a flying ice cream truck and a guy shooting a missile at a
It's so dumb. And there's
Awesome. That's
and I
fucking-
like dumb shit, dude.
I do too. That's why I like this movie.
I like coherent dumb shit though.
Well, I like there's some shit though that resonates with me actually, and like
It just
Deep
feels
Throat
like
too.
it
Like,
just feels.
I'm saying like we see on TV briefly that there's something called Christ Watch going on, and it's like in a stadium filled with like 100,000 people in attendance, and you know I feel that because I grew up around Christian hysteria, and in the mid 2000s there was a lot of things going on, like there was global shit like hurricanes and land just all kinds of natural disasters, and like the escalation of the Iraq war and stuff had a lot of Christians, a lot of especially Southern Christians, hardcore Christians saying that Jesus was coming back. And I was having to hear about this a lot, about how, oh, it's the end times. This is all in line with Revelation. Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming. And that had me in a fucking panic as a kid. And I actually have a lot of trauma from that time period because I was so scared of like rapture shit and stuff. So seeing shit like this is Christ Watch, that is not far-fetched to me. Like that is good. That's where the satire works for me.
It makes me glad that my dad's family are country club Republicans and not white trash Republicans.
Yeah,
because they just complained about poor people on welfare. So that's better. I don't know.
yeah, dude.
Pimps don't
Fuck
commit
all that
suicide.
shit.
It's really a bad. I mean, the fact that we effectively have a doomsday cult as a significant part of our Congress has dire implications for legislation. In like obvious things like abortion, but also the fact that, well, you know, we'll just get raptured up if the environment gets too bad. God wouldn't
That's
let
what
us.
I've dealt with some shit like that with my mom. I'm having to like like every time I get upset about stuff going on with the environment and stuff, she brushes it off, and I'm like, you know, you don't know when Jesus is coming back.
No, and here's the thing. No, it's No offense, Adrian, your mom doesn't know her scripture very well, apparently, because God told us to take care of the planet.
Yeah.
He
No,
told
she gets
Adam
that.
that.
I've
And
had to
and
talk
and
to
then
her.
and then I need to see that movie First Reformed because it's about this a lot, actually. It's about Paul Schrader. What's up? I know he watches. And what's his name? Ethan Hawke is a priest who
It's the shit. It's
yeah, I need to see that. He's
Brown.
like, we've soiled
He's
our
a
nest, and he's
bad
yeah,
motherfucker in that movie. That
yeah.
might be
I need to
my
watch
favorite
it. Don't tell me
movie.
anything.
Oh yeah, you're good.
But
It's good shit though.
and then also even Jesus says, I don't know the day or the hour. And then also the rapture is actually a relatively new concept. It's not explicitly laid out in the Bible. And even Jesus says, I do not know the day or the hour. And most biblical scholars see Revelation as a metaphor for the fall of the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what?
Aggravating.
Jesus is gay.
Well, maybe he did. He never got any pussy. He was with Mary Magdalene that whole time.
Oh no,
dude,
they were running trains on that bitch. I guarantee.
Oh man. No,
Yeah.
but
I hate this movie.
she yeah, my mom, she's come around a bit on the environmental stuff. It's like, yeah, you can still take care of the fucking planet, you know.
No.
Nerd.
Any carbon credits or communism.
Yeah. Now, I think sometimes there's popular TikTok sounds that are, you know, just real popular for like a week or two. And the one that turned out to be from this movie is if you don't let me suck your dick, I'm gonna kill myself. And Parker would quote that all the time. I'm like, what the fuck is this from? So when I heard it in the movie, I was like, that's where it's from. What the fuck? And it's like, I don't know. That's funny. It's funny to me. Like, it's absurd. She's so
there's some jokes in this that are funny, but this is mostly a miss for me.
Like,
I mean, John Lovett's going, you want to fuck or watch a movie?
yeah. Yeah, but it's like the weird absurdity of her saying that makes the Rock's character remember some of that shit in the desert. So I guess that was her purpose, but out of context, just that scene is really fucking funny.
Scientists say the future is going to be much more futuristic than we initially believed.
Yeah, that's a good one too, because he's just trying to.
Everybody wishes they were a porn star. Yeah,
it took me a while.
It took me a minute to realize. I was like, "Who is that?" Because Sarah Michelle Gellar looks so different and so trashy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I was like, "Oh, that's Buffy."
I watched the Scooby-Doo movie so much as a kid that it was like immediate, like, oh hey, there's Daphne.
I watched it a lot too, but
that's a better. I like Scooby-Doo the movie more than this, but you know.
yeah. Well, that's
it's better.
That movie. I remember I was rewatching that in college, and there's definitely parts of that movie they really tried and they really were into the Scooby-Doo-ness, and then part of it was just studio and 2000s garbage.
Yeah, crazy.
In the land of a million drums.
Yeah, you're gonna get demonetized. Thanks, Casher.
Dude, yeah. That's how we're gonna get demonetized. So we're gonna start ending our podcast with like cute little bloopers of us singing the song "Love Can Get Me Higher," and we're gonna end up that way every single time now. So we just gotta start practicing that soon.
And really sinister renditions of the Star Spangled
Banner, lifting me higher.
Half in Spanish.
So I guess it is willed in this movie to have these two copies of the same person from different times meet, and they decide to say fuck it, and they grab hands, and it makes the ice cream truck levitate, and then the other guy that was friends with JT like shoots a rocket and blows shit to hell. What, like, I guess I kind of like, I don't know, I may have got on my phone or something, but what the Rock is like, he's doing that dance and like that singing and that like musical moment, and like, what is the point of that part?
I don't know I almost don't know what the point of all the stuff with Rock on the Zeppelin is.
Yeah,
I will let you know that I checked out of this movie about halfway through. So I would peek back up, watch for a few minutes, and be like,
because it's because they bring him up there and then they show him his own dead body.
Yeah.
But all of the important stuff happens with Seann William Scott outside.
Yeah.
What was the point of The Rock even getting on there in all of those scenes?
I'm not
What's
sure.
the point of The Rock in the entirety of this film?
Well, he predicted the whole future events. through his
Besides
screenplay.
that, what?
And also,
else
he's
is
the one.
point of
He
it?
went through the fucking time thing and was part of.
They wanted to use his celebrity because he's related to the campaign of the Republicans, and they wanted to smear him with Seann William Scott posing as
I don't know. It just
racist
feels
cop.
like we could have removed Jericho Kane and Boxer as a character
No,
and
no,
just
definitely not.
focused on Seann William Scott. And...
They could have given him more to do on the Zeppelin. Maybe I'm just misunderstanding.
Oh shit! What did I just find?
Okay.
You just-
Anyway,
you just like pull something out of your skin and smell
Out
it.
of my knife.
Oh, I don't. Okay.
all right. Well, this isn't part of the podcast. Put that away.
Oh, yeah, you should. That's fucking sorry.
I'm meant to edit this out. Thanks.
That's-
But yeah, that whole thing on the Zeppelin, I'm like, what the fuck? I guess that's a lot of the film. It's like, what's going on? But it's like,
Yeah, and then freaking I keep forgetting his name. Wallace Shawn, his character, is like, no, don't kill yourself, Boxer. And why? Why does he care? What is their plan with Boxer when the stuff is happening outside? Were they gonna have the Rock grab his own hand of his dead body, and that was the plan and initiate it? But then it happened with Seann William Scott's character anyway. And how did remind me how Seann William Scott got his clone, the alternate self, in there? He went through the time portal as well?
who? Seann
They're doing
Williams?
experiments
Or wait, which one?
Both of it with Seann William Scott.
Yeah, I don't know. Somehow his past and future ended up. in
So
the
was
same
that scene
film.
cut of how did his past or future, how are there two Seann William Scotts? How did that get explained?
I think they do explain that part. I just forgot. But,
Okay.
And now how they get a hold of him and hold him hostage, and then I don't know. At the same time,
And then Seann William Scott, he knows that his alter ego is tied up in the other room, but he doesn't address it, or he thinks that's his brother, but then he learns it's not. Did he think it was his brother the whole time, but he doesn't have a brother?
He was confused. He had also had amnesia from this and was just
Right.
going along with shit. So he
Okay.
genuinely did think that was his brother for a while.
Right. Okay.
And then he figures shit out. And it's like I don't know how amnesia, I guess there's different levels of amnesia.
There's levels of amnesia. There's also plot convenience amnesia, which is what this is.
Because I want,
Yeah,
if I had amnesia, I guess if you have full amnesia and someone just tells you have a brother, I guess you could believe it. I don't know. I feel like subconsciously, I'd be like, I don't have a brother, or I don't know. It doesn't matter.
That's
But,
far from the least sensible thing in this.
What's the next thing we're doing on this podcast?
what was Kevin Smith's whole deal? His character,
I
guess
don't.
he was
part
like
of
The general, or
yeah, he's
Illuminati.
masterminding, I guess. Yeah, this movie was fucking crazy.
This is I'm exhausted after this.
I am. No, I need to go do laundry. What's the next podcast?
Okay. Next on the cast, we're doing a Thanksgiving episode on The Incredibles, which is a very mainstream, very seen film, but I wanted to wait until the 20th anniversary next year, but I couldn't wait. I really want to talk about this movie because it's my favorite Pixar film. And I watched it during Thanksgiving week when I was in 4th or 5th grade. And I think there's some cool shit to talk about there. So we will do a light episode, a much lighter episode than this one.
Palate cleanser.
Yeah, for sure. The Incredibles. So I think if we can swing it, we'll get Justin on for that episode too, because he loves that movie. And the movie hits different now as an adult, especially.
I prefer it as an adult. As a kid, I was ho-hum on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Mainly because I'm a fan of all the Ayn Rand messages.
We'll talk about that. Any final thoughts on Southland Tales?
No.
I don't think it was long enough.
Okay. Yeah. So
Oh.
anyway, the Patriot Act, still dealing with NSA, still dealing with conservative
From 2024.
bigotry. I think this movie halfway rules. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.